Our next speaker is Ishan Galapathy. Ishan is a capability, unlimited productivity expert. He has a wealth of knowledge in the field of operational excellence, working across 6 countries for nearly 2 decades for multinationals such as Kellogg's and Arnott's. An industry expert in OPEX, speaker and author, Ishan has appeared on several media platforms sharing his knowledge on all things OPEX. It is now with great pleasure that I welcome your next speaker, Ishan Galapathy.
Dan, thank you for that wonderful introduction, and what a great opportunity to present at the CMAT Digital event. So thank you very much. What I'm going to talk about today is what to do today to actually leverage the Industry 4.0 technology coming to you tomorrow. I find this topic to be of great interest simply because when I work with manufacturers, they are inundated with a lot of technology that's been presented to them, or whether it's the buzzwords, and there are a lot of questions that commonly gets asked. And what I want to do is share 3 points that might actually clarify what these things are, and actually help you get started on this journey. So you would find a lot of other presenters presenting on topics such as technology and how to get the best of it. I think this might be the one that's going to help you connect the dots. You'll see what I mean as we go through. But hey, before we get started, did you know that this is Apollo 11 taking off from Florida in 1969? Did you know that technology used in Apollo 11 is actually less than a standard calculator that we use today? Imagine that, right? But guess what? What are the top 3 concerns that most of us have today with technology? No Wi-Fi, slow buffering, or worse, low battery. This is the evolution of technology and the convenience of these little things that we have in our hand tips. That's actually helped us to move along in technology. But that's not what you're here for. What I want to talk about is how to get the best of Industry 4 technologies in your business. What do you want? What do you need to do today to get the best of Industry 4 tomorrow? And I'm going to address this in 3 questions. Firstly, I want to demystify what Industry 4.0 is. Right here, right now, we're going to go through that. And once and for all, in simplified terms, I will tell you what Industry 4.0 is. And the next thing that the question begs to find out, are we actually winning with technology? And the last thing, this is what you're actually here for, is how do you get the most from it? I'm going to share 6 steps. And with these 6 steps, hopefully you have printed out the handout that I have provided with this, and you can actually go on this journey with me. And the most important thing is you would know what you need to do next to actually move in this continuum of advancing in technology. So let's get started right away. So what is Industry 4.0? Well, I want to go a step back. I want to go a step back before we jump right into this Industry 4. Let's actually look at what our journey as human beings have been on planet Earth. And I can't go past this book that Yuval Harari has written called Sapiens. And in this book, he shares 3 revolutions that the human beings have been so far. The first one being about 70,000 years ago, when we evolved with our cognitive thinking, the cognitive revolution, 70,000 years ago. And then the agricultural revolution that occurred about 10,000 years ago, when we actually learned how to master the elements. And finally, about 500 years ago is when this whole scientific revolution started. So this so-called Industry 4, which means we are going through the 4th industrial revolution, is actually occurring within this 500 years that Yuval Harari is talking about in this whole continuum of our evolvement. Right, let's look at what these 4 industrial revolutions are. So what is Industry 4.0? Let's demystify it right here, right now. The first one occurred when we discovered steam power. This was in the 18th century. And with the steam power, a lot of our weaving mills were able to be mechanized. And with this, productivity went up and cost of production came down. And they say that the cost of yarn actually fell by 90%. Amazing, isn't it? The second industrial revolution came around in the early 1900s with, with the discovery of electricity. Now, with that, you may have read about Henry Ford and his mass assembly lines. Again, productivity went up and cost of production came down. They say that during the second industrial revolution, the number of patents registered in the US were increased by 50 times compared to the 60 years before that. Let me say that again. The number of patents registered in the US were 50 times more compared to the 60 years prior to the second industrial revolution. Now, that's not surprising, because when we think about electricity, as we've discussed before, but also flight, telephones, etc., etc., there were a lot of discoveries being made. So the technology that we are enjoying today was pretty much enabled during the second industrial revolution. The third one, I think most of us are familiar with. In 1969, both HP, Hewlett-Packard, and Intel, which actually stands for Integrated Electronics. Both these big companies registered in 1969, and with that started the whole computing sector, I guess. And with that, so from 1970 onwards, we were able to automate using the computing power. Guess what? Productivity went up and cost of manufacturing came down. And then here we are making history. So congratulations, you and I are part of history that we are making as part of this fourth industrial revolution. So what it is actually the connectivity. You've heard things like Internet of Things, Industrial Internet of Things. Basically, you would be knowing that you've got an app at the, on the fingertips and on your palm to connect most of the things that we live with today. And this is possible because of this connectivity. So cyber physical systems, networks, connectivity are the three buzzwords. But essentially what it's saying is we are leveraging electricity, computing, and we're connecting all of that, hopefully, again, to improve productivity and to reduce cost of manufacturing. That's the promise. But are we there yet? Well, let's see. Let's not jump into conclusions yet. So, which brings me on to the second point. So we've looked at what Industry 4 is. Let's have a look at, are we actually winning with technology? I want to reflect on this report that was produced by ASCII, Australasian Supply Chain Institute. It was actually conducted by the University of Technology in Sydney, titled "The State of Supply Chain Management Report 2020." It was conducted in 2019 and comparing 12 sub-elements within supply chains of how companies are maturing between 2018 and 2019. So they've looked at 12 sub-elements of supply chain companies, comparing to how they're progressing, maturing along those 12 areas between 2018 and 2019. You know what they found? Interesting. You don't need to go past. By the way, this report is readily available on ASCII website. You'll be able to find it, but you don't need to read any more than the executive summary. In fact, you don't need to read any more than this fourth paragraph of the executive summary. And let me just bring that up for you. Here's what it says. Compared to 2018, let me just highlight a few key words. You don't need to even read the whole fourth paragraph. What it's saying is this: compared to 2018, the maturity of the entire supply chains have reduced by 6 percentage points from 52 to 46 from 2018 to 2019, despite the heavy use of technology and automation. So technology and automation were one of the 12 that they looked at, but guess what? Despite of the Richter scale, advancements in technology and automation, the overall maturity have actually reduced from 6 points. Isn't that bizarre? Well, I have a theory on this. The theory is that actually some of us are implementing technology as the solution, and we are trying to find what the problem is. We're fascinated with technology, but what I want to do in this presentation is to actually talk through some of these points on how to connect the dots, as I said in my introduction. Bizarre that we've actually, as a nation, supply chain has reduced the whole maturity. The other thing, why this, as I mentioned, I think we're just chasing technology for the sake of technology. The other thing is this: a lot of the technology that's presented is on the premise that we operate in this kind of environment. It looks a little bit like a scene from Mission Impossible or James Bond or CSI Cyber, where you can pull these reports out in virtual space. But in reality, most of our manufacturing sites actually look like this. So yes, technology is great. I'm not going to poo-poo that, and I'm seeing great advancements. We do need to use it, but what I see is there are fundamental blocks that are actually that aren't in place, that's preventing businesses from actually leveraging technology to the maximum potential. And that's what I want to help. So let's actually get to that point of that's going to add value to you. So now would be a good point to actually get that little worksheet ready, because we're going to go through those 6 elements. So how do we get the most from technology? And I want to separate the 6 elements into 2 parts. The first one is people and processes, and the other one is equipment and systems. So there are 3 points in each camp, so to speak. And if we can move on each one of these 6 elements, you would notice that you'll be able to leverage technology better. So what are the first things? Let's go through these 6 things. It's data capturing. Then there's a daily review process. We're going to go through each one of these in detail. I'm just going to introduce these to you now. And the other one is problem solving. So these are 3 aspects that we need to master from a people and processes perspective. On the equipment side, definitely the equipment reliability, can't speak enough of it, particularly in manufacturing. Connectivity, yes, we do need it, and OEM black boxes. So let's try to go into each one of these in detail. So data capturing, again, each one of these is not a yes or a no. It's actually a continuum. On your left is pretty much you're not ready to leverage technology, and on your right, pretty much you are able to leverage technology. And as we move across all of these continuums, what you will find is that you can improve maturity and you can better leverage technology. So what you need to do is this. As I explain, you can put a little mark as to where your company is against each one of these elements. And guess what? If you want to move along and get better from leveraging technology, just look at what the next step is to the right of that. And that's what you need to be working on. So at the end of this, you would have a map of your current maturity, and also, most importantly, what are the 6 things that you can do to actually improve and get more from technology. So data capturing, have a look at this. On the left is where companies operate without a baseline. What I mean by that from data capturing point of view is, let me just bring these up. From a data capturing point of view, this is where, do you know what your efficiencies are? Do you know what your productivity was? Do you know what waste you have generated in each shift against each of the work orders? This level of basic data capturing, the number of operators, the number of hours, how much raw material have you used? Again, all the ABCs in manufacturing. But I've seen plenty of companies that operate pretty much without a baseline, right? They don't know how many cases, cartons, or widgets they should expect each hour or by the end of the shift. They pretty much operate on a basis of, we're just going to put the raw material and we'll get whatever we're going to get at the end. Some companies operate with paperwork and manual systems, so that's where operators are actually writing down whether it's on an hourly basis or by the end of the shift. The next level to move in mature is to have automated. So can you at least capture basic information on a shiftly basis? I've just invented a word, shiftly. So per shift, can you collect data on the basics? And of course, the most mature way would be real time. Every widget, every kilo or item of raw material that's being put into a work order, are you able to capture it? So where are you at in this continuum of data capturing? Because guess what? If you aren't able to do handle the data capturing right now, guess what's going to happen with big data when you enable a lot of these sensors and data capturing systems? You're going to be swamped and you're going to be so overwhelmed because you wouldn't know what to do with it and how to make insights from the data that you've got. So start using the data you've got, and if not, move along to the next step. All right, let's move along. The daily review systems. Now, it's nothing new that manufacturing businesses need to have a pulse check at least every 24 hours to know what you've done. Now, I've seen plenty of companies, again, these are the ABCs, right? Because you need to know what's happened in the last 24 hours. And most importantly, what do we need to do in the next 24 hours? I've seen plenty of businesses that pretty much operate, we'll just wait till the end of the month. We'll just let the accountant tell us through the P&L on whether we made money or not. Seriously, I've seen companies operate this way, and they're fairly big manufacturing businesses as well. Now, the next step to evolve, if you are operating in that, is to actually move to a daily review, at least once in 24 hours, because you don't want to wait because it's too late at the end of the month when the accountant tells you that we've lost money. But at least if you find that out in 24 hours, you've got more time to react and respond and actually do something about it and perhaps correct that trend. The next one to move along would be to have a daily review, but also multiple tiers. So this is for complex manufacturing businesses running multiple shifts. You would want to have pulse checks on every shift, perhaps every department, and then at least once a day, so that you consolidate all what's happened in the last 24 hours in each of the shifts and departments. Of course, the best of the best, the world-class companies operate on multiple touch points, all the way from hourly. So within a shift, you'd want to know on an hourly basis what's going on, and then to move to a shift, daily, weekly even, because you'd want to be looking at what your weekly trends are, and then finally the monthly. So have a look at how you are reviewing your performance. And wherever you are, put a little X right now, and the next step for you to mature would be to go to the next level. Again, in the era with technology and data, you'd want to have systems so that you can respond very quickly. The third one is the problem-solving capability. And I'll tell you what, this is the number one reason why most businesses are operating in the third gear, as I call it. The managing director is solving the problem. The executive leadership should be solving. Exec leaders are solving the problems. The frontline leaders should be solving. And the frontline leaders are actually solving the problems that their teams, the operators, should be solving. So effectively, you've got the whole organization, the whole business running in the third gear. So if you're going to do one thing from today, take away one thing, please do something about improving the problem-solving capability in your business. This is going to help you immensely. Now, if you're solving problems on an ad hoc basis, as the problems come to you, you're just putting out spot fires. Well, I've got bad news for you. You're going to be stuck in this daily chaotic cycle that you're never going to be able to get out of. It's the vortex that's going to suck you in. If you're fighting fires on a day-by-day basis because of poor problem-solving ability, you're going to be stuck there forever. I'm sorry. The only way to move forward is at least to structure and prioritize the problems that comes to you. Like in a good game of cricket, you would notice that batsmen, they don't actually hit every ball for a six, do they? They decide which ones to actually hit for a six or a boundary, which ones to defend, or which ones best just let go to the keeper. So similarly, you need to figure out not every problem needs to be tackled right then and there. So how do you actually structure? Do you have a structured system to solve some of these problems? But most importantly, do you prioritize the problems that come to you? Do you even delegate to say, this is not a problem that I should be solving? You solve this. Right? Delegate it to someone in your team and see how they take it on. Of course, the world-class companies, they've got this down pat where they know what the day-to-day problems are and what the year-on-year problems are. And let me define this very quickly. The day-to-day problems are the ones that you are firefighting. You need to have a separate system to deal with that. But the problems that you as leaders should be solving are the problems that's going to shift your business from year on year. The problems that's going to shift the performance of your business year on year. So they're the ones that you should be tackling. So look at where you are in this continuum of problem solving and how you are dealing with that. All right, let's push through. We haven't got much time left. Equipment reliability. So now we've crossed over to the equipment side. Are you actually solving problems from an equipment point of view as they break down? So equipments break down, you send the maintenance team to sort it out. If that's where you're stuck, then unfortunately, implementing technology, Industry 4 technology isn't going to help you to shift the dial on that. If you want to move to the next level, at least you need to have a good preventative maintenance system where your maintenance people would be solving issues kind of in a proactive way. But I don't want to confuse you because the next one is proactive, but that's from an autonomous maintenance point of view. What I mean by that is, how do you bring in some of your operators to help do some of the minor tasks, not the major maintenance tasks? How do you include your operators to do some of the identification of things that are potentially going to go wrong? And you combine the operators and your maintenance on this autonomous maintenance journey. You can't jump straight into it. You need to have a solid PM system, the preventative maintenance system, to be able to advance to autonomous maintenance. And the last one, of course, is you can, with technology, use a predictive maintenance systems. How do you get your maintenance partners to actually monitor the machines through technology and actually preempt the breakdowns that are about to happen, and you can do predictive maintenance? You can't do that unless you have connectivity, which is our fifth element. Most of the factories are concrete bunkers, and trying to get connectivity in there is a bit of a nightmare. So if you don't have any connectivity, if the machines inside the 4 factory walls aren't connected to some SCADA system or an Ethernet system, unfortunately, you're a bit lost there. So you're not making any traction with Industry 4 technology. At least move towards connecting your critical machines. That would be a good starting point. You would know what your critical machines are, the things that if they stop working, that's going to bring the entire factory down. Connect those and start monitoring them. The other one would be to look at the full factory. How do you connect all the machinery, the equipment, and the data so that you can help to collect real-time data? Of course, then if you are to actually leverage Industry 4, it's not just about the factory, it's the end-to-end full supply chain. You need to be able to connect. So how do you then connect perhaps your suppliers and your customers your head office, your planning, procurement, all these elements, the full end-to-end supply chain needs to be connected, but it is a journey, right? The last one we're going to look at is this thing called OEM black boxes. Now, with technology, things like robots actually come with a control logic. Now, the control logic is what I call the black box, is actually locked by the company that provides the technology. Only they can actually go into that black box and make changes to your robot or the equipment that you're buying. What this prevents you from is that if you've got any industrial engineers, if you've got any continuous improvement engineers, you don't have control of it. So you are pretty much relying on the external partners. If you try to work towards getting internal capability so that you can actually take ownership of that. The other thing to be mindful of is when you got different equipment, working together, they need to operate in what's known as this open source, because two different pieces of equipment manufactured by two different manufacturers need to talk together. So how do you bring them to a flexible, capable system and a structure so that you can actually collect all the information? The machines talk to each other, made by different people, and you can start to leverage. So where are you in terms of being able to control the machines, the equipment, and the technology that you have bought or you are about to buy? Find out if they actually work on an open source system. So there you have it, the 6 systems that you need to get hold of. Interesting study. This is a bit outdated, well, bit old, I should say, not outdated, but it's a fairly good point. McKinsey in Germany did this study a few years ago now. And what they found was, even in Germany, the company that actually started the whole Industrial 4 revolution, and a company that's heavily in automation and manufacturing, found out that they are not ready when they actually surveyed, I think 300 odd companies in Germany itself, that they're not ready to embrace Industry 4. And what they found was that one of the main reasons is a lot of companies have invested a lot of money in terms of equipment during the second and the third industrial revolution, and they're not ready to make that level of investment again. I'm not sure whether that applies to you or not, but it's interesting because Australia is a little bit behind compared to a lot of our Southeast Asian partners in terms of adoption of technology. Perhaps this is one of the reasons that applies to Australians as well. Anyway, I hope you found that interesting. Here are the 6 things, points again, in terms of how to get the best of Industry 4 technology. What do you need to do today to make the most of it tomorrow? These are the 6 points that we went through. Again, wherever you marked your current maturity is, you just need to move 1 step to your right. These are my details. Would love to connect with you. If you want more information, please connect with me, and hope you found that interesting and valuable. Thank you very much. Look forward to seeing you at the next manufacturing event. Bye for now.